The Plum in the Golden Vase. Chongzhen version of the Embroidered Portrait. Chapter 46. Yuan Yi Parade encounters snow and rain. Wives and concubines tease Geyer. The word says, it's snowing at the east gate of the small market, and everyone is waiting to meet the gods. The stamens are yellow and fragrant and stick to the golden cicada. People drink and drink in the evening, and people stand in front of the door drunk and speechless. Mazikan makes the street smoke. It is said that on the day of Ximeng King, Wu Yunyang and others were sent to Wu Dezhenzi's house to have a drink. Li Zi and Huangzi sat together until dusk, then took their leave and got up. The earl rushed out and told him this way, I have spoken for the second prince, and I will definitely find 500 taels of silver tomorrow. Then Li Zi and Huangzi paid tribute to the earl and went away. The earl returned to the side room, where he and Zida were drinking with Ximeng King. Li Ming opened the curtain and came in. When the count saw it, he said, Li Rixen is here. Li Ming kowtowed to the ground. Ximeng King asked, why doesn't Wu Hua come? Li Ming said, Wu Hua didn't go to Dongping Prefecture today, so he was a troublemaker at home. The younger one called Wang Zhu. Then he called Wang Zhu, come in and talk to him. Dad kowtowed. Wang Zhu opened the curtain and entered the room, kowtowed upward, and stood beside Li Ming. The earl said, your sister Gui went home just now? Didn't you know? Li Ming said, the young official came home after washing his face. He didn't know. The earl said to Ximeng King, the two of them are afraid no. You haven't eaten yet, so I asked you to bring some rice to eat with him. The boy said, second father, tell him to wait a moment, and I'll take the food with you. The earl ordered the boy to get a tray. 2 plates of rice and 1 plate of roasted mutton fell on the table. He handed it to Li Ming and said, when you get the rice, you can eat 2 bowls here. Shutting her, my silly boy, as the saying goes, birds of a feather flock together. You don't know, even though he is a member of the profession, he is different from a musician, so just treat him the same. It's obvious. I won't help you anymore. Ximeng King hit the earl on the head and scolded him with a smile. No wonder you are a bitch. You only protect the people who fall into the trap, and you know the joys and sorrows of being a bad guy. The earl said, silly boy, what do you know? You are just a disciple for nothing. You don't even know the words cherry jade and pity fragrance. Fantu and little you are like flowers. You pity them and they become more and more beautiful. If you kill him, he will be so weak that he will not survive. Ximeng King said with a smile, that's my son. Li Ming and Wang Jiexu finished their meal for a while, and were called over by the earl to give instructions. Can you to sing Snow Moon, Wind and Flowers cut together? Li Ming said, this is Huang Zhang. The younger one remembers it. So Wang Zhu played the pipa and Li Ming sang a song in his throat. After singing, look at the late rival. It is exactly. The golden crow is gradually setting in the western mountains. The jade rabbit is looking at the painting lantern. The beauties come to deliver news. The moon shines through the screen window and the pillow is cold. Ximeng King Ming put away the house fire and invited Fu Guangwo, Han Daoguo, Yun Yunzhang, Bai Si and Chen Jingji. A screen was used to place 2 tables and seats at the front gate. 2 rooms horn lanterns were hung, a banquet was held, and many spring clams were gathered, fruit boxes and various delicacies. Ximeng King, the earl, and Shi Dadu all sat on top, while the clerks and supervisors stood on both sides. On both sides of the gate, there are 12 golden lotus lanterns on one side. There was also a small firework that Ximeng King ordered to set off when the guests came home. First, 6 musicians carried gongs and drums and played at the front of the gate. After playing for a while, he invited the music player to come up again. 2 young players, Li Ming and Wang Zhu, came up to play the zither and pipa, playing and singing lantern lyrics. None of the people walking round in the street dared to look up. Ximeng King wears a Zhongjing crown, a velvet crane cloak, and a white silk coat. Dan and Ping'an put flowers in a bucket. 2 platoon soldiers held poles to block idlers and prevented them from crowding forward. After a while, the blue sky became quiet and the bright moon rose in the east. People on the street were very busy, but they saw every household plays gongs and drums, and every family plays bamboo and string silk. Tourists marched and sang, and ladies and gentlemen danced gracefully. Aocean Mountain is colorful, and the clear clouds are towering hundreds of feet. The phoenix is fragrant on the mattress, and the ethereal cages are thousands of layers long. Inside and outside the leisure courtyard, the moon shines brightly. The painting pavilion is high and low, and the lanterns shine brightly. People in the 3 cities and 6 streets are busy enjoying the Lantern Festival. During the festival in Fengcheng, let's talk about Chen Mai, Yingchun, Yu Xiao, Lang Sheng and Xiao Yu. When they saw that Yunyang was not there, they heard the drums played and singing at the head of the gate, and fireworks were set off. They all came dressed up and stood behind the screen to look outside. The book boy and the painter boy were sifting wine over the brazier behind the screen. It turns out that Yu Xiao and Shadong had an affair in the past, and the two often had sex. The two of them were pressed together to grab melon seeds and eat them. Unexpectedly, there was a tin bottle of wine sitting on the fire basin. Wang Xiao was still just laughing, but Simon King heard it and sent Diana to ask, "Who is laughing? Why is it so gray?" That day Chen Mai was wearing a new white silk jacket, with red and golden armor all over the ground, was sitting on a chair. When he saw the two of them pushing down the wine, he yelled at Yu Xiao and said, "What a weird and promiscuous whore. When she sees a man, she becomes so evil that she doesn't know what to do. It's just that the two of them pushed the wine down. They were still laughing and joking. I didn't know what they were laughing at." The panicked scholar walked up to him and replied, "I was sifting wine on the small brazier and poured out the wine in the tin bottle." After Simon King heard it, he didn't ask about its length and let it go. First, on that day, Lady Bai asked about Yunyang's absence. She had always known that Chen Mai, Yu Xiao, Ying Chun, and Lang Sheng were Simon King's favorite sisters. She arranged a lot of vegetables and fruits for the big festival, which made his girls happy. When the eldest son comes, he wants to invite the 4 of them to sit in his house. Everyone was brought to see Li Jiar. Li Jiar said, "I can't make the decision with Ding Cao and crutches. Why don't you ask your father?" When asked Zui also felt that she didn't dare to take on the job, seeing that after receiving the lamp, Lady Bai sent her eldest son to invite for more people. The orchids pushed the jade flutes. The jade flutes pushed to welcome the spring, and the spring plums welcome the spring. When they are all together, Li Jiar and Simon King say to let him go. Chen Mai sat there, not moving at all, and scolded Yu Xiao and others. There are all those sluts who have never seen a meal. They have never seen a banquet, and they have smelled something. I can't go, and I can't go to Yanji's house. They all look like ghosts and don't know what they are doing. I can see it with half a glance. Ying Chun, Yu Xiao, and Lang Sheng are all dressed up. She came out but didn't dare to go. Chen Mai just sat there and didn't move. Seeing that sister-in-law Bai sent her eldest son to invite her again, the boy said, "I'll just scold you a few times and wait until I go up to report it for you." He walked up to Simon King and whispered, "It's a big festival in sister-in-law Bai's family. I want to ask my sister to sit down and tell me if I want to go." After hearing this, Simon King said, "Teach your sister to go away and come earlier. There is no one at home." The book boy walked down quickly, said, "Thanks to me being at the top, my words are accurate. Tell your sister to clean up quickly and come earlier." Then Chen Mai slowly started to apply makeup evenly in the room. After a while, all 4 of them went out together. The book boy pulled half of the screen over to cover it. When they arrived at Bensi's house, Mrs. Bensi saw her and welcomed her into the house as if she were falling from the sky. There are hydrangea gauze lanterns on the ceiling, and dishes are arranged neatly on a table. Chen Mai is called eldest aunt, Ying Chun is called second aunt, Yu Xiao is called third aunt, and Lang Sheng is called fourth aunt. They have all seen the ceremony. He also invited Han Huizi's wife to accompany him. Chen Mai and Ying Chun sat on the table, with jade flutes and orchids facing each other. Sister-in-law Bai and Han Huizi were fighting, and the eldest son went back and forth to heat wine and get vegetables. Click here to ask no questions. Simon King Yan called the musician and said, "Listen to me. Every time you play a set of Dongfeng Liao Ji and good things are near." Just as the rose Yuing Shao was brought from behind, everyone picked it up and ate it together. The food was sweet and delicious, and the transformation is very suitable for the festival. Li Ming and Wang Zhu took their musical instruments in front of the table, and then played and sang this word. Their voices were melodious and fast and slow, playing, Singing and drinking are not a problem here. It is said that Dian and Chen Jingji were armed with many fireworks and asked the platoons to carry to lanterns and went to Wu Dajin's house to pick up Yunyang. Everyone was drinking in the open room when they saw Chen Jingji, teacher's second uncle, and brother-in-law to sit in the room. Your uncle is not at home today, so he is watching the bookmaking in the bathroom. While setting the table, he brought Chun Sheng snacks, wine and food to accompany him. Jingji, Dan walked up and said to Yunyang, "Father sent the younger one to pick up my mother. Please go home early. I'm afraid there will be chaos in the evening, so I came here with my brother-in-law." Yunyang was worried because of her headache. I was annoyed with him, so I didn't say a word to answer him. Wu Dejinzi called Dinger and said, "Get something to eat with Danner." Lai Dinger said, "The wine, meat soup and rice are all laid out in front of us." Wu Yunyang said, "Why are you so busy? I just came over there. Eat with him when you arrive. Teach him to stand in front of me, and I will stand up every time." Why are the three girls so worried? Come here and sit down happily. Everyone. There are his second mother and his sister at home. What are you afraid of? They have to go home a long time ago. Another person said, "Sister Yu, please sing a good song and wait for his mother." Meng Yulu said, "His sixth mother is really angry with him, saying that you don't want to celebrate his birthday with him." Sister Yu quickly came down from the table, kowtowed to Li Pinger 4 times, and said, "Since I celebrated my birthday with my fifth mother, it's hard to get back home. Yesterday, Grandma Jin picked me up and taught me how to clean up the door. If it was a good time, why didn't I kowtow to you?" Jin Lian said, "Sister Yu, you are here. Liu Niang is uncomfortable. If you sing well to him, he won't be annoyed with you." Li Pinger just laughed and said nothing. Sister Yu said, "It doesn't matter, come here with the pipa and wait for me to sing." The elder sister called Wu Shunshan's daughter-in-law Zheng Sanji. "Please pour the wine for your 2 girls and other mothers. The clock has not been turned up today." Wine. Sister Yu took the pipa in her hand and sang One River Wind with all her heart. While singing, Yunyang asked, "Why are you so miserable this time?" Lai Anner said from the side, "It's cold and snowing outside." Meng Yulu said, "Sister, what are you wearing? Isn't it thin? I brought a cotton coat. Isn't it cold this time?" Yunyang said, "Since it's snowing, ask a servant to bring us a fur coat." Na Lion hurriedly walked down and said to Dan, "Mom has told me to get my ladies fur coats." Na Lion then called Kintunger. "You can take them and wait for me to serve you here." Kintong didn't ask anything and just went home. After a while, Yunyang remembered that Jin Lian had no fur coat, so she asked Lianer, "Who took the fur coat?" Lion said, "Kin Boy took it." Yunyang said, "He went without asking me." Yulu said, "I just said something. You shouldn't teach him to take mine. His fifth mother doesn't have a fur coat, so she just takes her sister's." Yunyang said, "Why is there no one else? Just take a leather coat and put it on with sixth sister." He asked, "Why didn't that slave go? But you asked him to come." He called Dan over and ate. Yunyang tried her best to curse a few times and said, "Good slave, why can't you move?" You sat on the altar and sent the generals again, and sent that slave to go. He didn't ask me anything, and he went without knowing it. Don't blame you. As a high official, I am afraid that you will be moved, so I will just send him." Diane said, "Mother has made a mistake. Call someone home." Yunyang said, "How dare I give you an order? I don't dare to do this to you. How come you, the slaves, are so used to this?" The smoky Buddha statue hangs on the wall. There is a benefactor and a monk. I don't know about that cocoon. Your master didn't ask you to send it to Li Geier's house. So why did you take it away from him? I asked you to come in. Why didn't you come in? Then you let him go and let someone else come in. You know, if I scold that person, you will soon become a prisoner. There is no one here. Just the tongue painted by Tonnergu. When my father saw him holding a felt bag, he told me, "You can send your Aunt Gui to you." So he came in. My mother said I should keep the girl or not. You Xiao Xiao. Xiao Xiao doesn't care what he does. Yunyang was furious and scolded. "You are a thief slave, and I don't have time to argue with you." Tu Huan is too exaggerated. If I don't move and keep talking, I won't believe that I won't tell him until tomorrow. It doesn't matter if I beat this deceitful slave to your rotten sheep's head. Anner, why don't you go and get your mother's fur coat? He then said, "Sister, where do you want him to take the fur coat and wear it with his fifth mother?" Pan Jinlian took it and said, "Sister, don't take it. I won't." Wearing a fur coat, I asked him to bring my coat to his family. It looks like a yellow dog's skin. Good or bad, it doesn't last long to make people laugh, and it will be redeemed later. Yu Niang said, "This leather jacket is not for sale. It is the leather jacket that Li Zhixiao bought from Wang Zhaoxuan's mansion and wore it." She told Diane, "The leather jacket is in the big cupboard. I asked Yu Xiao to find it with you, and I brought my eldest sister's leather jacket with me." Diane put all his words in his mouth and walked out. Chen Jingji asked, "Where are you going?" Diane said, "Jing is a living thing. Live it once and do it twice. Let's run home again tonight." Walk home. Simon King was still drinking at the front of the gate. Brother Fu and manager Yun had gone, as well as Earl Ying, Zida, Han Daoguo, and Bai. Before they left after drinking, they asked Diane, "Are you ladies here?" Dan said, "I didn't come, but the young one came here with a fur coat." After saying that, he walked back. First, the piano boy arrived home and went up to the room to look for a jade flute and a leather coat. Xiao Yu was sitting on the king and said in a bad mood, "The four whores are having wine at Bissy's wife's house today. I don't know where the fur coat is, so I went to his house and asked him where he wanted to go." The piano boy kept walking. When I arrived at Bensi's house, I stopped barking and listened quietly outside the window. I saw fourth sister-in-law Bai say, and third aunt, "How come you haven't been served wine for half a day? And you haven't picked a chopstick of vegetables? Why don't you think my little family is not delicious?" Chun Mai asked. Fourth sister-in-law, "I've had enough wine." Fourth sister-in-law said, "Yeah, I can't tell you. Why is it weird that you wait for someone to come to your door?" He also called Han Huizi's wife. "You are my neighbor, just like the deputy boss. The third aunt and the fourth aunt are drinking wine for me. Why are you sitting alone like a guest?" He also called the eldest sister, "Come sift the wine and pour it for the third aunt to eat. Your fourth aunt is here, Zhong'er. Just drink some." Lan Xiang said, "I can't eat anything." Sister-in-law Bai said, "Your sisters are hungry today and don't have anything to eat. You don't need to make fun of me today. Singing and drinking with the girls, I'm afraid my father will listen to me. I have a shallow house, and I can't explain my little family suffering." As he said this, Qin Tunger knocked on the door, and everyone was speechless. The eldest son asked, "Who is it?" The piano boy said, "It's me. Sister Shun is talking." As he opened the door, the piano boy came in. Yu Xiao then asked, "Is mother here?" The piano boy looked at her with a smile and remained silent for a long time. Yu Xiao said, "Who has the female teeth with you?" I asked and said nothing. Qin Tong said, "My mother was still having wine at Yuzi's house. She saw that the sky was cloudy and snowing, so she asked me to come to the house to get a fur coat. Come on, I've packed it up." Yu Xiao said, "The leather jacket is in the gold-painted box. I asked Xiao Yu to bring it to you." Xiao Yu said, "I'll ask you for it." Yu Xiao said, "I don't know what happened to that little whore." Chun Mai said, "Every time you have a fur coat, send it to him. My mother doesn't have a fur coat, so I won't leave." Lan Xiang said to Qin Tong, "Ask Xiaoluan for your Sanyang leather jacket." Yingxin took the key from her waist and asked Qin Tonger, "Teach Yu Chun to open the inner door and give it to you." Qin Tonger walked to the back, where Xiao Yu from the upper room and Xiaoluan from the upper room were wrapped in fur coats, and handed over to him. Just as he was walking out with it, he met Dan and asked, "What are you doing here?" Dan said, "You're still talking about it. I came here because of you. It's for nothing that the aunt scolded me. Then she asked me to come. Take Wu Niang's leather jacket." Qin Tong said, "I'm going to take Liu Niang's leather jacket now." Dan said, "If you take it, wait for me here. You can go first. It doesn't matter. I made my aunt scold me again." After saying that, Diane came to the upper room. Xiao Yu was on the king warming herself by the fire on the stove, eating melon seeds. When she saw Diane, she asked, "Are you here too?" Diane said, "You're telling me that I'm so angry here. Mother said I was going to send you away, Jing'er, because Wu Niang doesn't have a leather jacket. She asked me to come and tell her that there is a leather jacket that Li Sanjin folded in the big cupboard. Please take it." Xiao Yu said, Yu Xiao took the key to the inner door. When you are having a drink at Bensi's house, tell him to come and get it, Diane said. Qin Boy went to Liu Niang's room to get the fur coat. Then he came and told him to go. I'll rest my legs and warm myself by the fire. Then Xiao Yu asked the Kangtu to sit side by side with him. Xiao Yu said, there is wine in the pot. Do you want to eat it? Diane said, it's good to know. Let me see if you take it. Xiao Yu came down, put the pot on the fire, opened the drawer, and took a plate of wax goose meat and sipped wine with him. When there was no one around, the two of them hugged each other and kissed each other. While having a drink, Qin Tunger came in. Diane let him eat a cup of rice, and then said to him, call Sister Yu Xiao to come and bring a fur coat with Wu Niang to wear. The piano boy put down the felt bag and went to Bensi's house to call Yu Xiao. Yu Xiao scolded, thief prisoner Genzi. What are you doing here again? He didn't come again. Hand the key and teach Xiao Yu to open the door. Xiao Yu opened the door to the inner room and took out a key. After trying it for a long time, she couldn't open it. Qin Tunger asked the Ben family again. The Yu Xiao said, it's not that key. The key in my mother's cupboard is under the mattress. Xiao Yu scolded again. That slut Dingzi can't come to other people's homes. She goes back and forth and only tells me how to do it. And she opened it. And there are no fur coats in the cupboard. Qin Tunger complained as he walked back and forth. I'll die for 3 days and 3 nights and bump into the dead ghosts and grandmothers, and the souls of people will come out. Xiang Dian said, you said you'd go back now, and you'll cause trouble again. Mom scolded me. Don't talk about the house. It's just us. He walked over and said to Yu Xiao, there is no leather jacket in my mother's closet. Yu Xiao thought for a while and said with a smile, I forgot about it outside, in the cupboard. When he got to the back, he was scolded by Xiao Yu again. The slut was knocked unconscious by that wild man. But the leather jacket is here, but she is looking for it everywhere. He took it out and wrapped it up. Even the eldest sister's leather jacket, delivered to Diane and Qin Tong. When the two of them arrived at Wu Dejinzi's house, Yunyang scolded her again. You thief slave, you won't even come if you agree. Diane didn't dare to say anything. Qin Tong said, I have all my fur coats. Wait. Sister Chu was looking for this green leather jacket again. So she opened it and took it out. Wu Dejinzi looked at it under the lamp and said, what a fur coat. Wu Niang. Why do you say something bad about it? You say it's yellow dog skin. There are yellow dog skins there. Just wear one with me. Yunyang said. It's a new leather jacket, but the front chest is a little old. Tomorrow, I will replace it with 2 new gold jackets, and it will be fine. Meng Yulu took it over and joked with Jin Lian. My son, come here. You put on this yellow dog skin, mother, and you try it out. Jin Lian said, if you have the ability to ask a man for something to wear tomorrow, it's not in vain. Why are you picking up someone else's old fur coat and putting it on you? Yulu joked. What a man who doesn't recognize his karma. He has this leather jacket and wears it on his body to recite Buddha's name. So he put it on for him. Seeing how generous he was, Golden Lotus didn't say anything. At that moment, Yunyang, Yulu and Pinger were all wearing mink fur coats, and they paid their respects to Wu Dejinzi and Erjinzi and got up. Yunyang gave Sister Yu a package of 2 coins. Wu Yin'er said, I'm going to bid farewell to my wife and mother's ear in Kowtow. At that moment, Wu Dejinzi gave him a pair of silver flowers, and each of Yunyang and Li Pinger took out a tail of silver from their sleeves and gave them to him. Kowtow in thanks. Wu Dejinzi, Erjinzi and Zheng Sanji all wanted to see Yunyang and others off, but Yunyang stopped them from going back because it was snowing. Qin Tong said, it's still snowing in my head, and this time there are water drops on my body. I'm afraid it will wet my clothes. I asked my concubine to ask for an umbrella and take it home. Second Uncle Wu quickly took it. The umbrella came, Qin Tunger held it, and the 2 platoons at the head held lanterns and led a group of men and women down a few alleys to the main street. Chen Jingji set off many fireworks along the road because he called, Sister Yin, your home is not far away. I will send you home every time. Yunyang asked, where is his home? Jingji said, go straight into this alley. The gatehouse in the middle is his home. Wu Yin'er said, I'll leave my mother's house here. Yunyang said, let's go to Sister Yin's house. I've already seen the ceremony. I'll take you home with me. Yin called Dan. You can take me to Sister Yin's house. Jingji said, Mom, Diane and I will go together. Yunyang said, That's fine. You and I. The two of them sent him off together. Jingji said with disapproval and sent him off together. Wu Yunyang and everyone came home. Pan Jinlian said on the way, Sister, you said we would send him to his house every time. Why don't you go? Yunyang said with a smile. You are just a child. I'm trying to trick you. So you believe it. Where is Li Chun Yuan? Jin Lian said, If a man comes to have sex in the courtyard, where is his wife? Yunyang said, When his father comes to the courtyard tomorrow, you can try to find him. If he doesn't, he will be taken away as a fan. It depends on you. The two of them talked and walked to the east street. Near the front door of Kiao Dahu, I saw Mrs. Kiao Dahu and his niece-in-law, Sister Dwen, standing at the front of the door. Seeing Yunyang and a group of men and women coming from a distance, she wanted to invite them in. Yunyang said again and again, Thank you for your kindness. It's getting late. So why don't you go in? The wife of a wealthy family, Kiao, was willing to let her go and said, My dear relatives, why do you come here so strangely? She forced Yunyang and others in. There are lights hanging in the guest seats, wine and fruits on display, and two daughters playing, singing and drinking. But he said that Simon King was drinking with the count at the head of the gate and was about to die. The Earl and she spent the entire day eating, unable to eat any more. Seeing Simon King napping on a chair, they hurriedly emptied the fruit plate into their sleeves and left with Han Daoguo. Only Bai Si was left behind, and he accompanied Simon King to send the musicians to reward him with money. He ordered the boy to put away the fire, put out the lamps and candles, and went back. Seeing Ping An approaching, the four Ben family members shouted, If you don't get up yet, Dad is coming in. When Yu Xiao heard this, she, Yingshan and Langshang hurriedly ran away without saying goodbye. I only left Chun Mai behind, thanks sister-in-law Bai. And then walked back slowly. Seeing Lan Xiang taking off her shoes behind, she couldn't catch up. So she scolded, You are all rushing to grab the coffin. You have taken off your shoes and can't put them on. It's so weird. When he went to the back, he asked Simon King where he was in Li Jiaora's room. Here. Everyone comes to kowtow. When the master saw Simon King entering Li Jiaora's room, he hid in the upper room with Xiao Yu. Yu Xiao came in and said 10,000 blessings. And Xiao Yu said to Yu Xiao, My mother sent a boy to ask for a leather coat, but you didn't take care of it and just taught me how to get it. I don't know which key to open the cupboard door and when after I opened it, I found it outside in the cupboard. I wonder why I robbed it. My sister eats it every time. How many times have I seen it growing out? Her face turned red and she said, What a shame. You little slut. Why do you look so stupid? Why are you having sex with us if they don't invite you? Xiao Yu said, I don't want that slut to invite you. The master advised from the side, Sister, just give up every word. Your father is listening in the room. I'm afraid you ladies will come home and have some tea to serve you. Just as he was talking, I saw the piano boy carrying him into the felt. Come with me. Yu Xiao asked, Is mother here? Qin Tong said, Whenever mother comes, she is let in by Kiao's mother-in-law at the door to have a drink, and she will get up soon. The two of them were silent. After a while, Yunyang and others came out of Kiao Dahu's wife's house. At the door of the house, Lady Bai came out to meet her. Chen Jingji and Bai Si took out a small firework and watched it set off again at the door. Then they came in and said good luck to Li Jiar and the great master. Zui came over, Koto to Yunyang, and met with Yulu and the other three. Yunyang asked, Where is his father? Li Jiar said, He was in my room just now. I sent him to sleep. Yunyang was speechless. I saw Chun Mai, Yingchun, Jade Flute and Orchid Fragrance coming into kowtow. Li Jiaor said, Sister-in-law Ben invited four of us to go over today, and they came right after we sat down. After hearing this, Yunyang was speechless for a long time. He scolded, What the hell are you doing for nothing? Who taught him to come here? Li Jiaor said, I asked his father before he came here. Yunyang said, Ask him, so he can make a decision. Damn it. Your temple opened early on the 15th day of the lunar month, and some little ghosts came out. My grandma, the four sisters who went to Huir said they were little ghosts, Yunyang said. Only half of the painting was painted. What's the use of letting it go out for nothing? To feed others. Meng Yulu saw that Yunyang's words were not good, so he left first. Jin Lian, who was lagging behind, saw Yulu getting up and leaving with Li Ping'er and the eldest sister. Master Jalua left and slept in the same place as Yunyang. The snow continued to fall until the fourth watch. Exactly, the incense burns away and the candles burn on the cold terrace at night, while we pick vegetables and burn lanterns to sweep away the snow. One night scene has been mentioned. The next day, Simon King went to the Yamen. Round the time of the dinner date, Yunyang, Meng Yulu and Li Ping'er sent the master to his home. Because I was standing in front of the gate, I saw an old woman who was a fortune teller from the village. She was wearing a water jacket, a blue cloth skirt, a black bun on her head, and carrying a dagger on her back, walking down the street. Yu Nang called the servant in, laid out the hexagram posts in the second door, placed the spirit tortoise, and said, "You can predict everything for me." The wife kowtowed for times on the ground. "How old is grandma?" Yu Nang asked. The mother said, "You are predicting the fate of a girl born in the year of dragon." The wife said, "If the big dragon is 42 years old, the little dragon is 30 years old." Yunyang said, "She is 30 years old. August 15th. Days come and go." The wife threw the turtle and turned around. Reveal the first hexagram post. It shows an official and a lady sitting on it. And the rest are attendants, some sitting and some standing, guarding a treasury of gold and silver. The wife said, "This grandma who is the head of the house was born in Wekan, who has already grown up in the forest. She has been benevolent and righteous throughout her life, has a tolerant personality, has a kind heart, reads sutras, gives alms, and practices expediency. She takes care of herself all her life, runs the house, and takes care of others. It's not right to be angry. It's true that when you're happy, you'll be smiling, but when you're angry, you'll be making noises in front of the hall. Although it is temporary, there is no intention to talk to others, and there is also laughter, but there is a cross star in the palace of illness, and there is always some chirping. Thanks to your good intentions, it will be better in the future. He will live to be 70 years old." Meng Yulu asked, "Do you think this grandma is destined to have a son?" The mother-in-law said, "Don't blame me for saying that. There is something wrong with the children in the palace, so I will have to recruit a son who is a monk. It's just for old age. You can't save anything." Yulu smiled at Li Ping'er and said, "Your family, Wu Yingyuan, is a Taoist." Yunyang pointed at Yulu and said, "You can also call him Boo Boo." Yulu said, "You are divining the fate of a 34-year-old girl. She will be born on the 27th of November at the Yinar." The woman wrote the diary again, made a divination with the spirit turtle, and transferred it to the Palace of Life. I uncovered the second hexagram post, which showed a woman with 3 men. The first one was dressed as a business traveler in a small hat. The second one was an official in red, and the third one was a scholar. He also guarded a treasury of gold and silver, and was attended by attendants on the left and right. The mother-in-law said, "This grandma was born in the year of Jiazi. There is gold in the sea of Jiazi and Yichu. If you commit 3 punishments and 6 harms, your husband can only overcome it." Yulu said, "You have overcome it." The mother-in-law said, "You are a human being, gentle and kind, with a good personality. You don't know who you are angry with, and you don't know who you like, and you can't show it. You are loved by your husband, and you can only give it to others for the sake of beauty. People's hearts. You have to bear the burden of others all your life. You are a mischievous person. You have a good heart. Even if you are a villain, I can't help you." Yulu said with a smile, "I just asked for money for you." She got into trouble with him, and this time she said she was being blamed. Yu Nang said, "Do you think this grandma will have a child in the future?" The mother-in-law said, "It's good to have a daughter. If you talk about longevity, it's all right." Yunyang said, "Sisterly, what are your horoscopes?" Li Ping'er said with a smile, "I'm a sheep. If she is a lamb, she will be 7 years old this year and she will be born in the year Shenwei. In what month will she be born?" Li Ping'er said, "At noon on the 15th day of the first lunar month." The old lady turned to the turtle and went to the Palace of Life. Shi Qding stopped. When I uncovered the hexagram post, there was a picture of a lady and 3 officials. The first official was wearing red. The second official was wearing green. And the third official was wearing green. She was carrying a child and guarding a hoard of gold and silver. Next to her stood a ghost with a green face and fangs and red hair. The mother-in-law said, "This grandma is from the roadside in Xinwei, Zhengwu. She has been rich and prosperous throughout her life. She has food and clothing. The husbands she recruits are all noble people. She is kind and righteous, and does not care about gold, silver, wealth, and silk. If you turn him around, he likes it. If you don't turn him around, you'll be annoyed. He just suffers the consequences of being at odds with each other, and repaying kindness with enmity is exactly what he wants. It's better to be punished and harassed than to be harassed, and to be ruthless and unruly in the blink of an eye. It's better to catch a tiger and pick off 3 paths of life, than to encounter a double-edged sword in front of others. Grandma, don't blame me for saying, you are a good horse. But it's a pity that the head is a little short. You have to be more patient when you are angry, even if you are a child. It will be difficult." Li Ping'er said, "Now I have become a Taoist priest." The mother-in-law said, "Since I have become a monk, it doesn't matter. One more thing. You, old man, will be destined to have a bloody disaster this year. So be careful not to see any cries in July and August." After saying that, Li Ping'er took out 5 cents and 1 piece of silver from his sleeve, and each of Yunyang and Yulu gave them 50 cents. Just as she was sending off the turtle divination lady, Pan Jinlian and her eldest sister came out from the back and said with a smile, "I said I couldn't see you from the back, but it turns out that you were always coming to the front." Yunyang said, "We just sent you off." The master came out and divined Gore this time. "Come here early and teach him to divine." Jinlian shook his head and said, "As the saying goes, you can't tell your fortune by thinking about the day before. The Taoist priest said that my life was short." "What?" The person who said it was worried that he would be buried in a dead end in the street tomorrow, and he would be buried in a coffin in the ditch. After that, he went back to the back with Yunyang. Exactly. Everything is not planned by man. Life is arranged by fate.
Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.